We know that C language stores two-dimensional array as a one-dimensional array, and while implementing one-dimensional array, it follows row measure way. There are two ways: column measure and row measure. In row measure, the rows are stored one after another. In column measure, columns are stored one after another. But we know that C follows row measure implementation. So if C follows row measure implementation, can you prove it? So here is a program for this proof. Okay, here Sam is the array whose dimensions are 100 100, I mean 100 rows and 100 columns. Again Tom is the array, there are 100 rows and 100 columns. Now I have defined start 1, end 1, start 2, end 2, time 1, time 2. These are variable are clock t type. What is clock t? Just see the help file. So help on this one. Type is clock t. This data type is predefined. This data type require return by the clock function store an elapsed time measure in clock ticks. So you see, you remember that clock tick means 18.2 clock ticks means 1 second. Okay. The CLK TCK constant defines the number of clock ticks per second. Clear? Well, now let us see. Then what we will do is that we will assign start 1 is equal to output of clock. What is this clock? It's a function, and let us see the help. Clock returns number of clock ticks since program start. Okay, returns the process time used since the beginning of the program execution measure in clock ticks. Okay, is it clear? Well, now start 1 is equal to clock, so we have stored the beginning time, and after this we'll initialize the array Sam. Then in second for loop we'll display the array Sam. Okay, now you see here the way. Here I use Sam ij and here I use Sam ij. So we are storing the array row wise, and we are displaying the array again row wise. So we are accessing the element row wise. First element is Sam 00, second element is Sam 01, third element is Sam 02, and last element of the first row is Sam 0. What is that? 99. Then after that second row Sam 10 to Sam 199. Okay, like this we are accessing the elements and we are displaying the elements. And at the end of second for loop we will store again the return value of clock, that is end of first part of the program. So n1 will store the end value of this clock. So we can measure the total time required to execute these two for loops, set of two for loops by using this technique. Okay, now again we will measure time for second method. So start 2 is the clock, means clock will return the beginning time for this for execution time for this part of the program, and now at the end we will store n2 is equal to clock. Clear? Now you see the first here for loop. Now this for loop, what we are doing is that here Tom ji, instead of ij I written ji. Okay, and again here while displaying I am using ji. What is significance of this gi? I'll explain just within a moment. Clear? So here also I have measured time, and at the end time 1 is equal to n1 minus start 1, so we'll get time of for the array Sam, the initialization as well as for displaying, and time 2 is the time required to initialize array Tom and for displaying array Tom. Is it clear? At last we'll display the time in second by dividing time 1 by CLK TCK, clock ticks per second. So 18.2 value of the CLK TCK, and we'll get a time 1 and time 2. Clear? Now this is the output. The output shows that time required for the first array is 5.38 seconds, while time required for second array is 5.60. So this means that for displaying the for initialization and for displaying contents of second array, that is tom ij, will require more time. You see the compared two values 5.38, 5.60. So time required for array tom for initialization and for displaying is more than the array sam. Clear? Now what is the reason? Let's see. Let us analyze this program. Here time required to initialize and display the array sam is less than the array tom. The reason behind this is very interesting. When C language compiler stores two-dimensional array into one-dimensional array in the memory, it follows row major way. That is, it stores one row after another in the continuous memory locations. Okay, let us give the proof for this one. In the case of array sam, we have initialize and display the elements of the array sequentially. That's why I have written ij. That is from continuous memory locations. That is, we have first access sam00, then sam01, then sam02, sam03, and like that. But in the case of tom, in the case of array tom, we have initialize and display the elements not from the continuous memory locations. We have not accessed the elements from the continuous memory locations. The order is as follows. Your first element is ji. So 00. Tom 00 is the first element we have access. Then after that we have access tom 10. Then tom 20. Then tom 30 and so on. What happened is that we have accessed the first element, then 101th element, then 201th element, etc. So there is a jump. Hence there are jumps for accessing location of the array tom. That is why the time required is more in the case of array tom. The output of this program varies from computer to computer. It depends upon the type of computer, the operating system, the amount of memory available, etc. So when you run this program at your machine, there is a possibility that you will get different output. Okay? Understood the program? Thank you.